the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, April 24th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined by both CJ the Hitman Hickman and Jason Cabrera. The gang's back together. What's up, guys?
Hey!
We did it. We're
CJ.
a group again. It's been, man, what, weeks? 2-3 weeks?
Oh, wow.
CJ, do you
CJ,
need intro music?
Back, man, how you doing?
Now that's how you draw them in. That's how you do it.
Oh,
You
sick.
hit them with a tease. You say the name, but you wait, and then you draw them in. That's how you do it. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
I'm playing you some intro music, CJ. Just
There you are?
Special.
So you get
Yeah, let that thing play out.
CJ intro music.
Well,
Yeah.
it's actually the Ryan Returns music from way back when. He knows.
Oh
which
no,
one this
turn
is.
that off. I don't want that.
You're over that? All
I
right.
don't want that
Now the
crap.
Ryan
Turn that off.
That's not good.
Oh no.
I don't have something set aside for you yet on my soundboard, so you take it or leave it.
Probably should.
Yes, I'll
Probably should
leave
do Eye
it.
of the Tiger or something.
I'll
No,
leave it.
because if I
No.
do that makes CJ think he's special, and I can't do that. So,
No, my
Well,
my
he is
Super
special.
Bowl championship
There's
makes
no
me
question
special.
of that.
is that where you've been? You've been out celebrating in Philly the last couple of weeks?
No, I've actually been working, man. We've been busy, both of us acting guys, you
Yep.
know. So you're on set. I'm striving and working my way to that. So right now I'm doing some voiceover stuff. So I'm
Nice.
behind the mic,
You gotta
behind the
keep-
mic, doing some stuff like that.
with your
Alright.
silky voice,
Nice.
Yeah,
doing all that.
silky smooth.
Trying to talk people to
Yeah,
sleep
yeah.
behind some smooth jazz.
Oh, I'm trying to get them ready. I'm trying to set the mood right for these guys.
Okay. Anyway, well, this is. I promise you, this is a football podcast, and we're gonna talk some football. I promise. We do have an amazing show for you guys today. Today we're gonna be talking about, and yeah, I know some of you are probably not even listening because it's tight ends, but we are talking early consensus tight end rankings.
Hey!
For a
Tight
lot-
ends win you leagues.
Tight
Tight ends win you leagues.
Good ones win you leagues. This year, like many in the past, looks like it might be a little top heavy, and you might be able to get some good quality. Though that has proven to be not necessarily the case the last couple years as well. So we'll see how it shakes out with some of these early rankings. If you guys want to support the show, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening on the Apple Podcast / iTunes, as we formerly know it, Stitcher, Google Play, Podcast Addict, we're really all over. We're on YouTube. Subscribe. We're here year round, and we'll keep bringing you all these shows, all the information you guys need to know. You can follow the show and ask us questions and interact with us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. And if you want to step even further, support the show financially, help us keep doing what we're doing, keep these lights on, these mics hot, simply go to the Fantasy Football Fanatics. Just search for that on Patreon. So simply, you can either do that, or if you want to do the full long URL, patreon.com/the Fantasy Football Fanatics. Either way works. And get yourselves bonus content and lots of cool perks along the way. And with that, I guess I didn't really put it in the warm-up, but CJ, you weren't here last week, so I guess I'll ask you really fast. Did you have any matches that stood out to you in the early, hate to put you on the spot here, but in the schedule release?
Schedule release. Yeah, you really are putting me in spot.
I kind of am.
I would've- Yeah. Well, of course.
Philadelphia,
very,
that's one.
very underrated game. That's the home opener for in the
Falcons
football
and
season
Eagles?
opener.
Yep.
Yeah, the Falcons Eagles. Very underrated game because if Julio did not slip, then our story probably ended right then and there. Because,
Most likely.
outside of that slip, that probably would have been a thing. Like that, I love the swerve by the NFL. Leading it up to the being rumored that we were going to play the Vikings, and I get to see that shellacking again and get Kirk Cousins, but they hit me with a swerve and save that for later on in the season. So,
I would love to see that game personally.
Yeah, I would have loved it too. It would have been awesome. I'm actually looking really forward to that Houston game with the Philly towards the end of the season, and that Jaguar game too. That's going to be a good one too. But those are the two games that really stood out to me. I'm really looking forward to, and yeah, man, I'm 16-0. I'm looking at the season, man. 16-0.
Pulling a Colleen Wolf, 16-0.
We're doing it, man. We're doing it.
NFL personality, Colleen Wolf, yeah.
Yeah, man. Man, we're doing it.
Yeah, I saw you share that on Twitter. CJ is at CJ Hickman89 on Twitter, and he shared. It made me laugh pretty hard actually, because
get at me.
That's her personality, and that's definitely something
Nice,
you would
Griffin.
completely buy into. So I'm okay with
Some dork had us going 7-9. 7-9.
Hey,
I said, what the crap is this?
most teams
is
in
this?
the recent era of Super Bowls have failed to make the playoffs the following year, so yeah, it's possible. I'd say unlikely, but it's possible.
Oh my God. I was so mad. So mad at him.
Oh, well, I guess time will tell. That's the beauty of it. We'll know in about another 8 months from now how things are looking. I guess with that, let's move on to our top headlines from around the league, and we'll start with we'll start at the quarterback position. Let's do that. And Tom Brady's agent, Don Yee, I still laugh when I hear that name for some reason. He said that he expects Tom Brady to return for the 2018 season. Now, the reason that this is newsworthy is because, though, everyone close to the quarterback, close to Tom Brady, has said, oh, he's playing. The team expects it. His family expects it. Players around him expect it. He has yet to actually come out and confirm the fact that he is playing. People, when asked if they could put a percentage chance on it, they're giving about a 75% chance that he plays, and this is just another resource coming out saying he's going to play. I expect him to play. I assume you guys expect he's going to play, correct?
Yeah, I do. I want to know who are these people close to him. Like, is
family, friends?
Are these reporters cornering his parents? And
probably paparazzi in the bushes. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to know about that. But absolutely, I mean, come on now. I mean, I think the guy would have just came out and said that he's done playing football if this was the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would assume so. I expect him to play. I think he's just waiting to see how it all plays out. And
what age is that? Do you think that what age is it that they start waiting for you to say I'm going to play next year?
Probably the age that is.
Started with fifth. Like a couple years ago, like, is he going to play next year? He hasn't said yet,
For a quarterback, probably late 30s. For any other position, probably early 30s.
Tommy, you're gonna play. You're gonna play. I mean, you look really, you look really sad on that Super Bowl field. You're gonna play for us, Tommy.
Playing this tiny little violin that nobody cared about. Anyway, let's move on to the. Let's go on to the wide receiver position, where the
shade is real.
I kind of don't want to talk about this, though. I put it on here. So ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that the Baltimore Ravens are, quote, out on unrestricted free agent wide receiver Dez Bryant. The reason for this is because the Ravens went ahead and made that offer to New Orleans Saints wide receiver Willie Snead. The Saints declined the opportunity to match the offer. Willie Snead is now a Baltimore Raven, signing a 2-year, $10.4 million contract, and I just am forced to say, why?
I like it.
Why? I love how everyone. Most national analysts, fantasy analysts, everyone out there is with my thought process. Why? And it's only Saints fans that are like, "Oh, that was a good pickup, good job." I think they're just happy to see this guy go. But yeah, CJ, here you are saying, "Oh, it's a good pickup." So CJ, we talked about this before the show, and I think the evidence, which I am probably about to repeat here on the show, is pretty damning. But CJ, why is this an exciting thing for my Baltimore Ravens?
Well, listen, this is why I like it, man. The 2 seasons Willie Snead was not hurt. Granted, your argument was saying that he didn't go over 1,000 yards. I'll give you that, but still, he was a good receiver in that offense when healthy. So now, of course, he's getting a downgrade when it comes to the quarterback position. No shade there. Everybody knows it. But I think he's still going to be an effective receiver and a dependable receiver in your offense. You got John Brown right there. He's supposed to be the burner, but you don't know what he's going to be like health-wise. I think Willie Snead, you can count on a little more, a little better, a little more reliable. When it comes to health versus John Brown, you just don't know what you're going to get week to week. So you got him in there. You got Crabtree on the other side. I think Willie Snead will be a good, he can be the slot guy, or he can go back on the outside. Those are 2 positions I think he excels on, and he's not going to be the main dude in his offense. He's never really been that main guy in the offense. And I think that's always been good for him too. He can be able to take advantage of that weak coverage with the second and third cornerback. So I just overall like this because I like Willie Snead's productivity in New Orleans. So I would just cross that over to what he's doing in Baltimore. It's just a downgrade in the quarterback play.
I mean, let me compose myself here,
you okay,
collect my thoughts, and align my feelings as I make this rebuttal. He was the 3rd wide receiver in New Orleans last year. Yes, he was banged up, only played 11 games. So look, and they were run heavy last year. Let's cross that off. The 2 years prior to that were years where Drew Brees threw for 5,200 yards and just under 5,000 yards. In both of those seasons, he failed to record 1,000 yards and more than 4 touchdowns. He is not a guy who unless something went terribly wrong with Des Bryant here, and so we just had to radically pivot. But my Ravens have made stupid moves at the wide receiver position already this offseason, a la Ryan Grant earlier. Luckily, we got away from that. But, I mean, there's no reason that I think that this was the right move to make. We needed a red zone threat. We needed a guy who could be on the outside and probably shift inside and be a disruptive force. We don't have a tight end. Des Bryant could be that guy. Willie Snead at 5'11", I don't think he's that guy. We already have John Brown to stretch the field. Yeah, John Brown's injury concern is noted, and sure, Willie Snead maybe adds some assurance there, but that's also why we have Brashad Perryman, which if we just want to send a guy streaking down the field, who cares if he catches the ball? Brashad Perryman is at least fast. He can do that. So I don't understand why we went through all this effort of getting Willie Snead, a guy who went from failing to be amazing in real life or fantasy consistently with a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, the only quarterback to throw more than 5,000 yards more than once in his career, and he did it 5 times. We say that all the time. Drew Brees is amazing. To Joe freaking Flacco, who struggles to make it to 4,000 passing yards. I just don't see a way that this guy is viable for fantasy. I don't love the move in real life. It's just really confusing to me. So my assumption here is that Des Bryant either wanted way too much, his physical did not check out, or he was just being way too hard-headed because he really wants to play still in the NFC East so he can get his revenge on the Dallas Cowboys. So that's the way I'm reading into it. I don't know. Do you have something else you want to say, CJ?
I was going to say, I think you lucked out because, I mean, what was the knock on Dez all throughout the last year? He can only run 2 routes. It's go routes or comeback curls. So I don't really, and I know your organization is famous for getting vets at the wide receiver position. And when you said red zone threat, I think you already got one in Crabtree. Crabtree was that guy in Oakland, and he's not going to change when he come into Baltimore. So I think you're set when it comes to there. I think you need another guy that you could probably trust to be a possession type dude, like Willie Snead is, and that's an upgrade to me. And with Perriman, look, Ozzie has to count his losses with Perriman. I know that's his little baby. He's basically Paxton Lynch for that team, like John Elway is with Denver. And he doesn't want to give up on him, but he's a bust. I'm sorry, he is. So,
absolutely.
So you bringing in John Brown, you don't know what you're gonna get out of him, and then you got Willie Snead there. I just think that's a better option to me. Versus, he's more versatile and he's younger, of course, and he can do more for you than I think you can get with Dez. And you're only going to get maybe 1 or 2 dimensions out of Dez versus multiple with Willie Snead.
He played in 11 games last year, recorded 8 receptions for 92 yards.
He was hurt. How many times do we have to talk about this? The man was hurt, of course. And he never was right when he came back.
But he
was never
played
right.
in 11 games and got 92 yards. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I know. I've gone back and I watched the tape. I liked Willie Snead at times for fantasy as a sleeper. I'm just saying, look, if you're listening to this right now, do not pick up Willie Snead in fantasy. And real life, I understand the depth, but there were better options on the table to me. So I'm wondering what happened behind closed doors to make this the radical swing that we made to go away from Des Bryant, because we were the forerunner trying to get him. So that's all I'm saying. And I guess with that, we'll move on. Unless, Jason, do you have anything you want to add to this discussion?
Oh, hey. I was taking a nap. No,
Taking a nap.
This is the only thing that I have to say about this. The amount of targets, the amount of weapons in Baltimore is different than what he's used to in New Orleans. Okay, yes, he's a definite downgrade in the quarterback situation, but he doesn't have as much talent to contend with in Baltimore, by my estimation. I like Crabtree. Crabtree is going to be a really, really nice fit for you guys, I think. And Willie Snead could end up being that deep threat because, again, John Brown, we don't know what the issue is with him. And if he goes down, then Willie Snead's going to have to be that guy. So I wouldn't be too horribly concerned about it yet. Let's just see how it works out.
I like I said, I'm not concerned. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, you're very concerned.
I am disappointed that we extended ourselves this much to get this guy. We'll see. I'm sure people feel differently.
A bit much. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, come on. It's Willie freaking Snead. All right, anyway, we'll move on. To the tight end position, actually, where New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski reportedly will not participate in the team's offseason workouts. I'm not surprised by this, and this is definitely not going to help his positioning to stay with the team.
No, everyone should be concerned. Drop him down your boards. Don't even pick him up in the next 11 rounds.
Yes.
You should be concerned about this.
Now, when Gronk becomes a Baltimore Raven, we'll see.
No.
Sliding down boards already.
Add more depth to that just over-exhausting position at the tight end position
We
with
need
the
red
Ravens.
zone threats. And we don't have any tight ends anymore. Freaking Watson's gone. Everyone else is failing. Max Williams hasn't become.
Oh yeah, Watson.
Uh,
Your tight end hopes was on him.
Hey,
Okay.
he's back with the Saints. He might be someone we talk about today. Probably not, but he might be.
No, we're not.
I don't think so.
No, he's not. But he's one of those sleepers with upside.
Spoiler, he's not.
Yeah, right, spoiler alert. Let's last bit of other news. The San Francisco 49ers general manager John Lynch has said that the team will release former first-round pick linebacker Reuben Foster if his domestic violence charges are proven to be true. So,
Which it is.
to be expected, and he's
Yeah.
probably going to be gone based on reports of what we're hearing. And obviously the trial's not for a while, but we'll see. So yeah, that's something. 31st overall pick last year, was it?
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to see this. I mean, because the talent is there overall. You go through his college career, and then what we wanted to see with him in Frisco, the time that he did play, the talent is there. It's just I don't know what it is with these young guys, man. Not all of them are mature, and then they just squander the talent, and this is just terrible to see that
CJ,
talent just squander.
It's called roid rage, is what it is.
That's what it is, Broadways.
Absolutely. All right, so with that, let's.
Chris Benoit.
Oh, that's too
Oh,
soon.
really?
Way too soon. All right, so with
No,
that,
not really soon enough. I mean, that happened like
that was well over a decade ago, but no, still too soon. Okay, so with that, wow, that got dark real fast. Let's move on to
really
our
dark.
topic of the
Yeah.
day. Yeah, kids, don't go Google what we're talking about,
Welcome
please.
back, CJ.
Yeah, welcome back, CJ, the Hitman in full effect. So,
Heyo.
hey, so with that, let's move on to why everyone is maybe here. I don't know if people are actually here or not, but we're going to talk about our
You better
early
be here.
consensus tight end rankings. So, as you may expect, our number one overall tight end consensus at this point of the year, currently still with the New England Patriots, Rob Gronkowski. CJ and I have him at
Heyo.
1. Shockingly, Jason does not have him at 1. Jason has him at 2. Jason, care to explain?
I just want to be different. No,
I like it.
Wow.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
no
I-
more.
I
You don't need to
felt the
explain
need
no more. Let's go to the next
to be
person.
different. No. My main thing is just this whole upheaval about Gronkowski having issues with the team and not being there for practice and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a little shaky. I moved him down once, and plus the injury issues. I mean, he always gets injured every single year. I moved him down one spot just because I really like what I saw from Travis Kelce, and I thought maybe slide him down, wait to see what happens. Once he says, okay, I'm coming back, and gets his head out of wherever it is right now, he'll probably slide back up to number 1 pretty quick.
All right. So not necessarily hedging your bets, just being careful, I guess. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if he's not a New England Patriots, he slides down my board a spot or two. But yeah.
He's flying down. Yeah, if he's not a Patriot, he comes down a couple spots on my board.
Depends on where he goes. But as of right now, he is. So therefore, I have him as
Ravens
my
is like
number 1.
24th.
Get out of here. The Ravens feature the tight end. Remember?
Oh yeah, that helps.
Lows.
That
Hey.
sure helps, doesn't it?
Hey, remember the last time we actually had a good number 1 tight end in Dennis Pitta?
Nope,
He was
I don't.
consistently good.
No, I don't.
What about Todd Heap before that? Huh?
Hey, there's a bridge you can sell me. I'll jump off of.
Jesus.
That.
All right.
You have better that.
Okay.
Better
fine.
We have
luck
a
with
London
that.
Bridge is in Arizona. You can come get it.
I hate you both so much. So yeah, Rob Gronkowski, he's been in the league for what is it? This is his 9th season. He was drafted in 2010. He is perennially the number 1 tight end in fantasy. Usually gets over 1,000 yards and close to double-digit touchdowns or more when healthy. Health is the concern, and obviously if he's going to remain with the team. But that all being said, clearly the upside is worth being the top tight end, and usually taken. Currently, I think in mock drafts, usually in the 2nd round, which is way too high for me for a tight end, but definitely a difference maker, I should say,
Difference
at the
maker, there you
position if
Everyone.
you get him and everything works out for you. So yeah, we'll move on. Our number 2 tight end on the season we are split on is Travis Kelce. I have him at 3. CJ has him at 2. Jason, you have him at number 1. So I'm going to throw this yet again to Jason. Jason, Travis Kelce,
Yeah.
number 1. Interesting.
See, I'm glad I did my rankings this way. I get to talk first all the time.
I know.
Okay?
Look at you. How exciting.
Yeah. So the main reason that I put Travis Kelce at number 1 is because I really, really do believe in Patrick Mahomes. I think that he's going to be a revelation for that offense. And a young quarterback, and I think CJ has actually said this once or twice, a young quarterback's best friend is their tight end.
Yep.
And we're talking about Travis Kelce, who is got to be lights out top 2 tight ends in the league, given how he has done the past several years. He's just phenomenal. So I think that given those changes and given the fact that, like I said, I think it's going to be an upgrade at the quarterback position, I like Travis Kelce as the best tight end in football this year so far.
CJ?
Yeah. A lot of stuff that Jason is saying, I definitely agree with, and that's what went into my rankings. Patrick Mahomes coming in there, young quarterback, man. First going to be basically his first year starting, of course, hopefully, all games. And I think this system is basically built for him to succeed. And the number 1 guy I see him, succeeding with him is Travis Kelce, man. He's going to draw all the coverage. I mean, defenses are going to have a nightmare trying to plan for this kid because not only does he have a banging arm, that he has feet too, that he can be able to run and scramble and get some yardage. And like I see a lot of those linebackers breaking off of Travis and trying to get to him, and then here's Travis open for 15 20 yard plays, and he can just keep doing that. So a lot of that came into my mindset, and that's why I put him at 2. I mean, of course, the productivity he had with Alex Smith, and then just projecting that forward, and then seeing a stride with him and Patrick, and then continue to do that too.
I mean, so I'm the lowest at 3. Ooh, big deal. The reason I have him at 3 and not at 2 is because of a lot of things you guys have said, but I feel a little bit differently. Patrick Mahomes, he's got a cannon, and he seems very happy to use it, and so I think that this is going to be more of a long ball type offense. They're going to be trying to probably throw it a lot more, going deep, and don't forget Sammy Watkins is there eating up targets. So I just think that you take the deep threat away from Kelce, which Kelce normally thrives more in the short to intermediate. Then he breaks a tackle or two, and he's off to the races, so that's what he does. But I just don't think that he's going to be featured as heavily as Alex Smith, who loved to use his tight end. So new quarterback, new big wide receiver that's there that's going to take away touches. It's those reasons that I have him at 3 instead of 2. I still think he's got a lot of upside, and obviously they can only cover so many weapons at a time, so he will have his big games, which is why I have him as a top 5 tight end, top 6. That's just my concern. But again, we're splitting hairs here because we all have him as a top 3 tight end, so we will move on. Our number 3 tight end on the season is Zach Ertz, who I have at 2 and both of you have at 3. CJ, this is your player, so I'll throw it to you. Tell me about Zach Ertz.
Well, Zach Ertz is my man. I mean, look, and until we can get Gronk out of there and he gets to another position, then of course, my boy's gonna move up the boards. But I had to be respectful, not be biased. But listen, man, last year was a great year for Zach Ertz. Man,
no.
I know, right? Zach Ertz had a great, awesome year. I mean, he proved a lot of doubters wrong. Instead of him being Mr. November, he was Mr. Entire season, man. Him and Carson Wentz, and then even towards the playoff run and of course the Super Bowl, him and Nick Foles, they got together and they start building some chemistry and they just kept clicking each and every week. I mean, Zach Ertz was one guy in the offense you can count on and knew that he was going to get in the red zone, get touchdowns, get those receptions, and he got some good yardage. I mean, he led the team in receiving yards. And, I mean, this is ridiculous how much productivity he was in this offense. So I'm just looking at it going forward with him and Carson Wentz coming back. This is going to continue to do his thing with the team.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason I have him up higher is because my concerns with Travis Kelce prior. Zach Ertz, he hasn't played a full season since 2014. He's played 15 and 14 games on average between those 2 years. I think that if he played a full 16, he would have gone to 1,000 yards. He might have gone to double-digit touchdowns, and I'm banking on the upside that he actually gets there this year. So I really like Zach Ertz. And, of course, Trey Burton, the guy who we'd all be scared about that this is going to become potentially a timeshare, out the door. So I really like Zach Ertz this year, and I think he's a safe floor with a high ceiling. Anything you want to add, Jason?
I think you guys pretty much hit it on the head. As long as Carson Wentz stays healthy, And honestly, even if he doesn't stay healthy, I mean, you guys just signed Nick Foles
Nick
to
Foles.
a contract. So even if he doesn't stay healthy, I still like Ertz as long as Ertz stays healthy.
I guess the question is, should we be scared that the old man Richard Rodgers might be vulturing touchdowns in the red zone?
No. That's not a thing. I mean, he's going to be a great addition to the team as far as, just more options for Carson Wentz, but Carson's guy is going to be Zach Ertz. I mean, I think I would say that you should pick up Richard Rodgers if Zach Ertz goes down like he did a couple games for the Eagles, and then, you can see what's going on there. But undoubtedly, Zach Ertz is the main guy.
I mean, I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think Richard Rodgers is good for maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns this year. I don't think he's going to be too much of a factor as far as vulturing touchdowns. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Let's move on to the next guy on our list. Number 4 on our consensus rankings, Evan Ingram. So, Jason, the highest at 4. Well, that feels high. I'm at 6. CJ splitting the difference at 5. Jason, very high on the second-year tight end who now has Odell Beckham Jr. coming back into the mix. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I really like what I saw from Evan Ingram in his rookie season, and that's I think one of the biggest factors as to why I've got him so high. And honestly, you guys have got him high too. I mean, he's 5 and 6. It's not exactly down the list.
It makes me feel dirty.
Yeah, I mean,
I just want you to know that.
No, just stop it.
Whatever, guy.
If it makes you feel better, he's more of a receiver anyway. Yeah, I mean, he's really, really good. Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back, but those aren't the catches that Evan Ingram is going to be getting. He's going to be getting the short, intermediate routes, and things of that nature. And they just got rid of that particular threat, and they don't have that red zone threat anymore in Brandon Marshall. So I like Evan Ingram. I really like him as a much more involved piece of the offense, and plus he's going to be used from the beginning of the season this time, as opposed to being eased in as a rookie, which they didn't do too much easing last year. It was eased for about 2 games, and
they
he was there
really
the
have
rest
a
of the
chance.
season. Exactly. They lost their receivers, but I still think Evan Ingram is going to continue to be consistent. He's going to continue to get those catches and get those targets. I really like Evan Ingram.
See, I'm the lowest, and it's because I'm worried that we're buying into the ceiling of Evan Ingram when I think the floor is dropped out quite a bit from what it was. His numbers did go up when Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Marshall went down, but not substantially, and that's kind of the question mark. Like, how is this going to really play out? Will he be more consistent getting the numbers, or will he actually see a decrease in targets, receptions, touchdowns, yardage? I don't know, but based on what he did last year and the weapons on this offense, and as you mentioned, the departure of Brandon Marshall, which I actually had him lower before that, is why I have him where I do. I have him as a top half tight end. I just, I'm not married to it, and I'm still working on my stat projections, which is how I fine-tune my rankings. It's not all by feel and heart. I actually do the hard math, and I'll see where he lands. But as of right now, I don't love where I have him, but I could definitely see him finishing around where we do, if that makes any sense. CJ, you're splitting the difference here. Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, listen, I loved it with I mean, he's a giant, so this means a lot to have him this high. But what the kid did last year, I mean, was freaking awesome. I mean, Jason and I, we both liked him a lot. We didn't know he was going to be this good, but with everything that happened around him, it definitely helped his draft stock. Now, going into this year, of course, I don't expect him to do what he did last year, but I still expect him to be consistent. I mean, you got Eli Manning coming back, you got Odell coming back, you got Sterling Shepard, he's going to be there, and then of course, Brandon Marshall not being there to eat also. So, I still think Odell is going to get his numbers. We talked about that a couple weeks ago with the wide receiver show. I still Sterling Shepard, I think he's going to get an uptake, but I do like Ingram as far as receptions, yardage, and I definitely still like him as far as in the red zone. I still think his red zone numbers are going to be good, and I think it should go up, to be honest. I mean, because, look, defenses are going to be looking at this team. Their main threat is going to be stopping Odell Beckham. And
Saquon Barkley.
And no, Saquon's not going there. He's not Listen, so their main threat is going to be stopping him. They're going to be, concerned about Sterling Shepard, of course. He's going to take a step from, and I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle is Evan Ingram. And then those linebackers have a tough job. They had a tough time, keeping this guy under wraps. And I think he's going to just continue to get better. and he's going to improve his stock as far as your tight ends. So yeah, that's why I have him number 5 for me.
6'3", 240. That's not an ideal matchup for most linebackers. I'll give you that. So yeah, the range of outcomes is pretty high, but we all think that it leans towards having a obviously good year. So
solid year.
Number 5 tight end on our consensus rankings is Jimmy Graham. So Jason and I both have him at 5. CJ the lowest at 7. CJ, is this just you buying into the Packers don't feature the tight end thing?
No, I mean, I do like the situation for Jimmy. I just, there was other guys that I liked a little more. Now, yeah, I mean, I can see it once again, trollers, don't come at me. This is early consistent
Can't
ranking.
stress that enough.
You know what I mean? So I can get this can go up, because me, I like to set my stuff down, finalize it, once the preseason games are over, and I can start to see how this team is gelling. As it stands right now, yeah, I mean, I have him 7, but I can definitely see him going up. I mean, he's got freaking Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, so I mean that's always a plus. But his body of work speaks for itself. I mean, he's had a great quarterback, and Drew Brees did what he could do with Russell Wilson, and now Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, the stars are aligning for him to go back to his glory days with the Saints. But as it stands right now, I just have him at 7.
I love Jimmy Graham with the Packers, and my only concern and why I probably don't have him higher is because exactly that, it's the Packers, and they generally don't feature the tight end, but they've never had a tight end truly like Jimmy
him,
Graham. Yeah. They got rid of Jordy Nelson, who was good for double-digit touchdowns, and they basically replaced him with Jimmy Graham. Also, this, I think, is the best quarterback pairing Jimmy Graham has ever had. No disrespect to Drew Brees, but Jimmy Graham has not really been a yardage tight end. He's only gotten over 1,000 yards twice in his career. He's been a big red zone threat. His high 16 touchdowns in a year. Holy crap. And he's now with the most efficient red zone passing quarterback in the league. And with the vacation of Jordy Nelson, who was good for 13 and 14 touchdowns each of the last 2 years when he had Aaron Rodgers the whole year, I see Jimmy Graham able to pick up a good amount of that production. So I think that Jimmy Graham, I think he's got an incredibly high ceiling, and I went back and watched a lot of tape on him when he was with the Seahawks, which obviously the final stats are not very impressive, but that's because the Seahawks offense was not impressive, but he was still getting separation. He was still winning contested catches. I think he still very much has it. I mean, again, how do you cover a guy that's 6'7", 265 pounds with that wingspan and those good of hands? So, yes, he's 31, but I'm not concerned. I actually really do like Jimmy Graham this year, and I could easily talk myself into moving him up another spot. So, that's my thoughts. Anything you want to add, Jason?
The only reason I have him this low is because of new face in a new place. He needs to gather some rapport with that quarterback. But I got news for you.
Yes.
I got to get acclimated. I got news for you. He's going to be really, really good this year. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, they don't feature the tight end, but as you said, they haven't had this kind of tight end before. And Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy that finds the open man. He finds the guy who's going to get that catch, who's going to get that touchdown. He's that kind of quarterback. And I think Jimmy Graham, as you said, still getting separation, still a tough matchup. He's in the middle of the field. You're going to put a safety on him. You're going to put a linebacker. No, you got to try to put a corner on him. It's hard. So, yeah, I definitely see Jimmy Graham able to finish higher than where I have him right now.
There's a very real chance that I move him up over the guy I have at number 4. In fact, I think I might do it right now, and it's not going to reflect on the show, but yep, I'm doing it right now.
I would agree with you at that move. I would agree with that move completely.
And it's done. So Jimmy Graham's now my number 4 tight end, and that's probably me being way too optimistic, but we've talked me into it, and we'll obviously... these are not final. Please don't think these are final. But, obviously we'll know a lot more once we get into more of the OTAs and training camp and some preseason games and start seeing how he's gelling with Aaron Rodgers. But I think that this is a match made in heaven for fantasy production. So I really do like Jimmy Graham with the Packers this year. So moving right along, though, our number 6 tight end on the season. Kind of surprised that he is our number 6, actually. Kyle Rudolph. Interesting. Now, I have him at 8, but both of you have him at 6. So tell me, guys, why so high on Kyle Rudolph?
Well, I mean, for me, I don't know about Jason, but for me, when I look at Kyle Rudolph, and of course, his man, the man that breaded his butter, is now no longer with this team. He's with Arizona. But a guy that coming in and Kirk Cousins, man, a guy that I look at it and I say, you know what, Kirk Cousins did good when him and Jordan Reed were clicking, when Jordan Reed was healthy. Even when Jordan Reed wasn't there, he had Vernon Davis, and they was clicking. Vernon Davis kind of made you know what I'm saying? He made a resurgence of his career coming to Washington, and when Jordan Reed went down, that helped him out, and his stock was rising up, and people actually picking this guy up off the waiver wires and placing him in their lineups and playing this guy with confidence because he was showing out and Kirk Cousins was looking at him. So I was concerned before about my man Kyle Rudolph getting lost in the shuffle, but now after looking back of it and actually really thinking about it, man, I'm really liking it. I'm liking this, and I'm thinking that the chemistry they work those kinks and whatever stuff's out, and we're gonna see numbers from Kyle Rudolph. I don't know if it's going to be just like what he did with Sam Bradford, but I still think they're going to be more comfortable numbers you can have that you don't have to be concerned about where his stock is going to be with this team as far as productivity.
Yeah, no, I have him at 8, so I'm the lowest, and my reasoning is based on a number of things. For starters, his magical year, as we talk about it, his year was
great years.
His great year in 2016 with Sam Bradford, 83 receptions, 840 yards, 7 touchdowns. So that's a very good floor. If he can replicate that. But that's not obviously an elite tight end production. A lot of the elite tight ends get closer to double digits and closer to 1,000 yards, but still very, very good floor. Now, we bring in a new quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins does love to feature his tight end. The reason that I'm hesitant here is, Kirk Cousins going to a new offense. That's one. 2, I would argue that this is the best wide receiver core and probably best rounded offense he's ever had. So he's got better, more consistent options. 3, I think this is definitely the best defense he's ever played with. I think that the Vikings are going to be in much lower scoring contests in order to win games. So I don't think they're going to be trying to score as much because I think they're going to be playing from ahead. So I love Dalvin Cook, but I just don't know with all the mouths to feed and the way that this team is going to win games that there's going to be enough production for Kyle Rudolph to be an elite tight end, but I think he will be very safely a good tight end, if that makes sense. Jason, you also have him at 6, so I assume you lean more towards CJ, but what do you guys think about my thought process there?
I think he's going to be an elite tight end. I think that Kirk Cousins, as CJ mentioned, Kirk Cousins likes his tight ends. And he has featured them in the past. Yeah, he's got more receiving guys, but I think we've seen in the past that it takes a little bit more time for quarterbacks to kind of sync up with receivers than it does for tight ends, just because of the kind of routes they run and the way that they're built. So I would expect Kyle Rudolph to benefit from this marriage of Kirk Cousins, kind of the same way that he benefited from Sam Bradford coming over there. I think you're going to look at it's going to go back to that kind of production, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and I guess time will tell. Yeah. So let's move on. Our number 7 tight end on the season was my former number 4 overall, and that is Greg Olsen. So I now have him at 5 technically. CJ, you have him all the way down at 10. Wow. And Jason splitting the difference at 7. So CJ, why so low on a former top 4 tight end perennially?
I got you. I understand. Listen, man, it's all about injuries, man. Look, man, Greg Olsen, he was injured last year.
He's been an Iron Man before that, though.
I got you. But this league can be very harsh to you, man. As soon as you get injured, you get lost. You get lost in the shuffle, and you got guys that were being productive while you were hurt. So now you're coming back. It's different with this tight end position. You can't be like the wide receiver and the running back position or even the quarterback position where your stock is still where it was the previous year. With this tight end position, you get hurt, your stock can drop. And that's how it is with me with Greg Olsen. Man, look, productivity, he's still the guy there. Him and Cam are still going to be good, but he just got lost in the shuffle for me. When I did this, when he got hurt, and there's a lot of guys that I still like, and I think they're gonna be better than him this upcoming season, and that's why I have him where I got him. I mean, that's just how it is. Nothing against him. I still think he's gonna be good, but it's just I got other people that I believe in a lot more than Greg Olsen and that offense.
I guess I'll step in since I am the highest on him. My number 5 tight end Let me clarify that because I just dropped him. So over the last 3 years, when he was healthy, he's averaged around 80 receptions, 1,000 yards, and about 7 touchdowns. So I mean that's been his production level, and that's his floor. And yes, he's older. He's 33. He just turned 33. That's what he's going to be through the season. The injury is what's going to be interesting to see if it holds him back. But I will also counter that by saying that he is definitely Cam Newton's favorite target in this offense. Devin Funchess is a guy that we like, an up-and-coming sneaky fantasy option and weapon, but I don't think he's going to be taking away as many targets as we would expect from Greg Olsen. Torrey Smith is a obvious addition. He might be auditioning. He might be auditioning for this team. That's true. To really just stretch the field. That's what he does. That's what he's been through his career. Christian McCaffrey catches a lot of dump offs, but Greg Olsen has really been the focal point for Cam Newton when Cam Newton's not running the ball himself. So that I expect his floor to stay relatively, if he's healthy, where it has been, and I don't see anyone that's going to really affect his ceiling very much here in the on his productivity. So that's why I am leaning towards the upside and a return for Greg Olsen, though I could see injury and age could catch up to him. Who knows? This might be the year, but until I see it, I'm going to stick with what has been the consistent trends throughout his Iron Man career. Jason, you split the difference. What are your thoughts?
Well, you guys know me. I'm a huge fan of Greg Olsen, but the age issue, the getting injured issue, those things have reared their head a couple times now, and it's getting to the point where it's a little scary whenever you look at him. Plus the fact that this team is starting to get better in the receiver area. So I really like Greg Olsen. That's why I still got him at 7. Plus Christian McCaffrey could snipe some of those more intermediate kind of routes and stuff like that. So
what about Curtis Samuel taking a step this year? You think Curtis Samuel?
Yeah. Those two two guys are in my thinking as well.
Yeah, right, and taking away those kinds of routes. So I still like Greg Olsen. I still think he's going to be big in this offense because Cam loves to throw the ball to him. I'm just worried about injuries mainly.
Clearly, they're just going to send Christian McCaffrey, Cameron Artis-Payne, and Fozzie Whitaker out there and just be like, whoever's open, throw them the ball. That's what they're going to do.
These running backs are going to be getting, but there's no turning offense. They're going to be getting the rock.
3 running back sets. Let's do this.
Man.
All right, let's move on. Number 8 tight end on our consensus rankings is Hunter Henry.
This is ridiculous.
Holy
crap.
God. I felt low on him until I saw Jason's ranking. So, CJ, you have him up incredibly high at 4. That is just way too rich for me with all the weapons.
That's too rich?
Are you serious? With all, there's 4 big profile wide receivers with the Chargers right now. I don't see a way that he gets the volume to be as productive to be number 4 where you have him, but we'll talk about it. I have him at 7, which I think is comfortable, maybe a little low, but comfortable. But Jason, at 12, barely a tight end 1. Explain yourself, Jason.
Still a tight end 1?
Barely.
I'm not trying to
semantics.
Trying to disrespect the guy, but I don't know. I this again. There's always a few of these guys, especially this early, that I look at and go, I want to raise him up, but I'm just a little concerned still. And I don't know for a fact because look, there are a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, a lot more than there's ever been, and with Big Mike Williams coming back, and that is a big that's a big receiver who's going to get a lot of looks in the red zone. That's someone that could snipe a lot of these kinds of throws when you get into the red zone. So you may not get a lot of touchdowns going to Hunter Henry. And honestly, I don't think this is that crazy because guess what? Hunter Henry finished 12 on the year. So it's not like it's outside the realm of possibility that he's going to finish that low, especially with the amount of talent coming in at a tight end position, getting better, in at least the top 12 guys. I'm not talking about the rest of them, but I like Hunter Henry. I really do, and if he was the only guy there, then I'd be all about it. Let's raise him up into the top 5.
You have a funny way of showing it.
You have a very funny way of showing
right now,
it.
as it stands, that's why I said if he was the only guy there. He's not the only guy there. So
that'll be a legal formation for just to be him in the offensive line.
CJ, let's add some positivity to this.
There's some positivity here. All right,
Yeah.
so listen, I'm not concerned about the weapons. I actually like the weapons there because once again, it takes away from him. The defense has to spread themselves out thin. And if I know Phillip Rivers, like I know Phillip Rivers, he's going to be smart with the football this year, man. Look, he made some mistakes last year with the turnovers, costly turnovers, interceptions. But this guy's still the gunslinger. He's still going to try to do his thing. But he's going to read these. He's going to read these defenses like any good savvy quarterback is going to do. And I like the underneath play that he can be able to get from Hunter Henry. Like this defense cannot cover everybody. Like you guys say, they got weapons galore, and that's positive. That works for the tight ends, to be honest. This is the same argument we're making for Kyle Rudolph in Minnesota. There's weapons galore there. We still think he's going to be productive in that offense. So I'm not understanding how that it cannot be the same thing in this offense with the Chargers. And to make a rebuttal to Jason's point, talking about he finished 12th, the man did have to be put on injured reserve because he had like a kidney issue with the water that was going on there. So I honestly believe he would have finished higher than 12th. I mean, he probably would have broke up into the top 10 if he didn't have to be set down for that. So Hunter Henry, he's proven to me. I just wanted Antonio Gates to get out of there. I appreciate your work. Appreciate what you did in the league. I needed you gone so I can get a full year of Hunter Henry doing work for me, which he's going to do this year. And I just like the situation there.
So I will split the difference here. As my ranking suggests, we've heard the pros, we've heard the cons. Basically, here's this. He has never played a full season, which is obviously a con. He's never gotten to 50 receptions, a con. Never gotten to 600 yards, which is a con. He's gotten to 8 touchdowns once in his career, and that's with Antonio Gates still being there, but that was when the wide receiver corps was pretty decimated. So you could easily read a narrative one way or the other. Now, I think with a healthy offseason, with Antonio Gates gone, and this being his magical third year, tight ends usually take a while to get going, and we've seen flashes of the talent. I can easily see him finishing somewhere around where I have him at 7. I could see if a couple of the wide receivers go down, as they are known to do in Los Angeles. That ceiling can go up, and I could see him going a little bit higher. 4 feels a little bit rich, but I would say it's not outside of the realm of possibilities. I think the only way he finishes as low as 12, where he finished last year and where Jason currently has him, is if basically everything falls apart, which I'm not ranking based on pessimism. The only time I ever put injuries into my rankings if it's consistent.
Whoa. When have you ever not ranked based on pessimism?
As I was saying,
pessimism is like your number one default ranking. What are you talking about?
As I just said, when it comes to injuries. So I'm not worried about the fact that he hasn't played full seasons yet because he's played close to them. I think his receptions and targets go up. I think with that his yardage goes up, and he is one of the red zone threats, and touchdowns are volatile, but he's 6'5", so I imagine he's going to get you. I mean, his floor is 4 touchdowns. I could see him getting back to 8, maybe even more. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Griffin, one more thing.
By all means.
We can move on. So listen, like you said, you finished 12th. But do you agree with me on my argument? If he did not have to be put on IR, that he would have probably broken top 10.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because he would have gotten 2 more games, and based on his averages alone, he probably would have gotten you another touchdown and a half and probably another 150 yards or so, and that would have been enough with how bad the position was to get him to probably around, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it would have been the tight end 9. So
okay. That's all I needed.
That's fine.
All I need.
All right, so let's move on to our number 9 tight end. Speaking of, Delaney Walker, the old reliable tight end himself. Now, I have him down at 10 because I'm just, one of these days, the wheels are going to fall off, and he's just going to die on the field.
One of these days, Alex.
One of these days. He's 33. He's going to be 34 before the season starts. He's never really been that elite, game-breaking guy, but he's been consistently good. Marcus Mariota likes him, but again, 34 is hard to really get past, and with his level of athleticism, that's why I have him down at 10. But you guys both have him at 8, so tell me why. Either or.
I mean, just like you said, consistency, man. I mean, he's Mariota's favorite target there. I mean, you can make an argument saying that, Corey Davis is going to take a step up.
You would certainly hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so, too. But, I still think, Mariota's a simple guy. I mean, I think he for some reason he gets overloaded with all the talent that was there, and we kind of saw that last year. I mean, so I think his safety blanket, his comfort zone, his quiet place, as like some people would say, is Delaney Walker. I think that's the guy that you really don't have to worry about. I mean, he's lower just because for me he's lower because of the age, and just how his body has been kind of breaking down towards the end of seasons these last couple of years. So that's why I have him down. But the productivity and being consistent and him being that guy in this offense, that's where I kind of have him where I'm at. But if he was younger, I would definitely have him up higher.
Jason?
I pretty much agree with CJ. It's just as he's trended in that direction. He's always one of those guys that doesn't get a lot of love. And then last year, had a good season, and again, quietly a good season.
Yeah.
And Mariota didn't do what we expected him to do. Everybody expected Mariota to take this big step and be this really good quarterback, and it didn't really happen. It was more of a meh year. So I think that they're going to try to reload Mariota and try again this year. But Delaney Walker is going to continue to be that consistent weapon for him to use. He's always there. He's old, reliable. So that's why I've got him ranked in my top 10.
How dare you guys overlook number 89, Philip Supernaw?
Who the heck is that?
Former Ravens and San Francisco 49ers tight end. He's athletic.
That's
but
why I didn't know him. He was probably the 14th Raven on the depth chart. I can't remember all those things.
It was at a time when there was like 6 or 7 tight ends on the Ravens squad. Yes,
ridiculous.
He made a game-winning touchdown once. That's all I'm saying. But no, look, dang, not in preseason. Yes, Marcus Mariota really needs to take that next step, and he's got the offensive pieces around him to do so. They obviously brought in Deion Lewis to replace the loss of CJ's favorite guy, DeMarco Murray. Derrick Henry, we like. Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews. Corey Davis needs to take another step. Rashard Matthews has been consistently good. He could be better. Taywan Taylor, Tajay Sharp. Do you think one of these guys takes the next step? I mean, Tajay we saw some really nice flashes of in the past, and Taywan, a former third round pick from last year's draft. Do you think either one of them come in and maybe threaten for Delaney Walker's production?
I don't like those guys in a different offense. Like I feel like those two guys would be more productive in like a more spread offense, more like something like Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, those type of quarterbacks. Mariota. It's just tough. I mean, it's tough right now to project what Mariota's going to do. I mean, he has such good talent, but you got to simplify things with him.
Yeah. Eric Decker being gone, I think, obviously kind of balances out because that production, obviously didn't do much last year, but that's...
Well, I don't think he was even worth mentioning.
I mean,
definitely you bringing it up. I'm like, what did he do?
That was his worst year as a pro.
He didn't distract Mariota. He was barely on the field. What was going on?
I mean, maybe that was the distraction. Who knows? But I'm just saying he's gone, so that production's probably going to be what is Taywan Taylor, I think, is currently penciled in his role. So we'll see how it plays out, obviously.
Mariota probably distracted by those TV cameras. Like, what is this, reality TV? What is this? What's going on?
Right?
What is your wife doing here?
Bottom line, for me, for Delaney Walker to be worth where you guys are even taking him, just 2 spots higher, Marcus Mariota needs to put it together this year. He's got to.
Yes.
So we'll see. All right, last 3 guys we'll get through kind of quickly because we're starting to run low on time. Trey Burton. CJ and I, we both... Wow, Jason. We both have him at 11. He's down at 10.
Okay, all right, guys, knock it off. Okay, I'm 2 spots below you. Give me a damn
so
break.
Far down.
Good
Holy
break.
crap.
No breaks for you.
Trey Burton
Good
as a
grief.
number 2 tight end from Jason Cabrera.
Oh, my God, Jason. 13. Oh, my God.
I'm assuming, Jason, that this is new face in a new place, and you need to see him with a full body of work for an extended period of time, correct?
I don't trust the quarterback. That's one of my main issues.
Really?
I don't trust the quarterback.
No, I'm with him, CJ. I'm with him. I don't trust him either. So sophomore slump is the thing. We've seen it, and this is the prime candidate to have a sophomore slump. Okay? I need to see it. I need to see more consistency out of that team offensively. They've got a lot of new pieces. They're kind of retooling a little bit. Everyone's got to find their place, got to find their spot. I still think Trey Burton's going to be nice in this offense. I'm a Trey Burton fan. You've heard me talk about it. I love Trey Burton. Yeah. But this is the Bears talking about. You know, we need to see them
get solid and get control and be able to move that ball with consistency. Once that happens, I definitely see this guy shoot up rankings.
Yep. CJ, this was your guy, so why don't you counter?
I mean, just body of work. I mean, every time that, Zach Ertz went down, or even, him coming into the game just to relief like Brent Sutton looked like that, man, he was just consistent, man. Carson was supplying him. He was just great, man. He's a great, pass catching. He's a great receiving tight end, man. He's very fluid in his motions from the route running and everything like that. So all the intangibles of him, I mean, it's well deserved, and I'm excited to see him, have this room and be that starting guy there. Now, as far as the offense goes, I mean, Trubisky, he started coming along towards the end of the season there. I mean, even with basically nothing around him, he was making plays, he was gutsy, and he was starting putting stuff together, being productive. So I like him a little even more now with the weapons that they're bringing in there, bringing an offensive guy, minded coach coming in there to help mature him and put together the best scheme for him, and all of that just adds plus signs for me when it comes to Trey Burton being in this offense. I mean, the guy loves his tight ends. He's going to be the Travis Kelce in this offense. So that, in my opinion, that's why I was looking at him. And he's going to be one of those sleeper tight ends for me that I'm going to be looking to get, and I'm projecting him to be golden for me throughout the season.
Yeah. Okay. So to pick up the pace, just to recap really fast, my thought process: don't like Mitchell Trubisky. That I didn't really like what I saw last year, and we'll see what he does this next year with a new regime.
Hate on this kid.
Well, he was not impressive. But I will say,
what was
Trey
around him?
You had your chance to talk. It's my turn. Trey Burton, look, he was, like CJ said, he was very good in his limited opportunities. Now, can he put that together for a full year? We'll see. I do think he's going to be the number 2 in the progression when in the red zone. I think they're going to look Allen Robinson, and then they're going to look his way. So he could be kind of boom bust. No matter what you think, I think that he's going to be probably a really good value, really good sleeper tight end, because this is a guy, and this is the beauty. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you are light years ahead of your competition, because most fantasy players are going to look at final stats from last year. That's what they'll bring up. That's what they'll print out. That's what they'll draft off of. Last year, 23 receptions, 248 yards, 5 touchdowns, which granted is pretty impressive for that amount of work, but still, they're going to look at this guy and they're going to look right past him. Now, you have to realize most of that he did once Zach Ertz went down for a while. So Trey Burton over a full year, he has that upside. It could all come together. It could be great, but because nobody's going to be drafting him, this is a guy you're going to be able to snipe in double-digit rounds and really wait on tight end, and he could really pay off for you. And if he doesn't, it's the tight end position. You'll just stream it. So, yeah, I like the upside of Trey Burton. I have him as a low-end one, and so does CJ, and Jason as a high-end two. Last 2 guys, very quickly. Cameron Brate, which is confusing to me because I thought you guys loved Cameron Brate. So, CJ, I'm guessing you love O.J. Howard more because you have Cameron Brate down at 17. Good Lord.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good things going on with the tight end position, and it's kind of tough to try to bring him up. But, I mean, still like him and OJ. It's just, last year was a bad year. I don't expect that to be them this year. I think we're going to see the real Buccaneers. But, like I said, there's a lot of talent there. So, yeah. All
right. I mean, I split the difference at 12, right above or one spot below where we have him in our average. So somebody has to have him much higher, which is Jason at 9. Jason, I thought you were a huge O.J. Howard fan. So why do you have Cameron Brate so high?
What do you want him to be, number 3?
Howard fan. What's that?
I was just messing with Griffin. He was like talking about huge. What do you want him to have him, number 3?
Well, no, because I expected, because you guys were such O.J. Howard fans, that he would have Cameron Brate roughly where you do, CJ. Honestly, when I was putting this together, I was surprised.
Right. Well, I do like O.J. Howard, and I think he's going to get better and better. But my main issue here is not either of those 2 players. It's actually the quarterback. Jameis Winston, same thing as what we were talking about earlier with Mariota. Supposed to take a big step this year. This was supposed to be his year to shine. He was supposed to be awesome. He really wasn't. And It was really sad to watch because I'm a fan. I like Jameis Winston a lot. And it didn't happen. He was not impressive. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. So Cameron Brate kind of came on and ended up being one of his favorite targets again. So I think that's going to continue until he gets his feet under him and starts being able to use all the weapons that they're giving him, because they're giving him a lot of weapons. He's got a ton of weapons he could use. He's not using them. So that's kind of why it's a little bit of a safe pick. He finished 8th last year, even with O.J. Howard there. O.J. Howard actually wasn't that far behind him at 17 on the year. So I wouldn't mind seeing O.J. Howard take a step forward this year and me having to drop Cameron Brate down.
Yeah, for me, I have him at 12, and I think that that's probably pretty safe because what we heard going to last year, the narrative, kind of played out. Cameron Brate was more of the red zone pass-catching tight end. O.J. Howard, who is a very good blocker, was used as a blocker who then would roll out from time to time, and that's where he got his production. I expect it to be more of the same with hopefully a more productive offense, and so Cameron Brate, I have him at 12. He could finish higher, but O.J. Howard is the variable here, and we'll have to see how that shakes out. A touchdown dependent tight end. He's good for 6 to 8 touchdowns. So we'll see. And number 12 on our list, we have a wide range. I am at 16, CJ at 13, Jason at 10. I think we all agree this guy has the upside to finish considerably higher than where we have him, but I'm assuming with our rankings, based on how much we think he's going to play, injury risk. It's Tyler Eifert of the Bengals. That's why I have him at 16, because yeah, I forget what the number was, but he's missed, 20, 30, 40 games in the last however many years. It's something insane number. It's probably too many, but it's a lot of games over the last couple of years. So I'm expecting more of the same. CJ, I'm assuming you more or less agree with me?
Yeah, he would have been up a lot higher if he would have just signed with the dang Rams. I would have loved him there. But, he's back with their – I mean, hey, what was it, 3 years ago when he did play? Him and Andy Dalton had a good connection. He had his magical season that year. So I'm just hoping that, they can reprise that. Bill Lazor, still being their offensive coordinator. So, hopefully.
Jason?
Well, I honestly thought I was low on him. I thought I was low. I was like, oh, these guys are going to laugh at me. And then I saw you guys ranking. I was like, whoa, never mind. Look, this guy is considerably higher ceiling. I mean, we've seen it. As long as he stays healthy, which he never does, he's got a much higher ceiling. He only played 2 games last year, obviously. He was not impressive in those 2 games. Wow. I think he's going to get the opportunity to be a much bigger part of this offense this season. However, having said that, I will say I think I do have him a bit high, given the kind of injury that he sustained, and the fact that this offensive line. I mean, they're trying. I know they're trying. They're trying to fix it, but I don't care about trying. I want them to succeed. So I may be dropping him down my rankings.
Over his 5 seasons in the league, I just did the math, he has missed 41 games. He's only played in 39 games. He's sat more games than he's played in his career.
Man.
So that's why...
That's got to be a record.
RG3 type stuff right there.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you go back to 2015, like we were saying, 13 touchdowns, and I think he has that upside because the only other real threat in the red zone for pass catching, for the most part, is A.J. Green. So, I mean, this is what he's used for. But if he can't stay on the field, he's never once played a full season. I don't expect it to start now, and that's why projecting this guy is darn near impossible because injuries are volatile, touchdowns are volatile. It's really, really hard to get a bead on a guy like this. So, to recap, our top 12 tight ends, we did it. We did it, America and world. Number 1, Rob Gronkowski. Number 2, Travis Kelce. Number 3, Zach Ertz. Number 4, Evan Ingram. Number 5, Jimmy Graham. Number 6, Kyle Rudolph. Number 7, Greg Olsen. Number 8, Hunter Henry. Number 9, Delaney Walker. Number 10, Trey Burton. Number 11, Cameron Brate. And number 12, Tyler Eifert. And with that, that's going to do it for us today. Please make sure you guys tune in on Friday when we will be back talking about the NFL Draft Round 1 recap and review. We're going to be giving you guys our hot takes based on the first night of the NFL Draft, all the first-round picks, so that should be a lot of fun. And a lot of these picks are going to impact the future of these teams, so this is fun time. We've been waiting for this for a while now. I know Jason has been just waiting and waiting. He loves the draft. So we'll talk about that soon. Make sure you guys subscribe like we talked about at the beginning of the show, wherever you're listening. We are a year-round show every Tuesday and Friday. Please, 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 if you like what you hear here, give us a rating and a review. It helps the show out more than we could ever say. And if you want to interact with us, follow us on Twitter, at the FF Fanatics. That's 3 Fs, at the FF Fanatics. Or you can follow us individually. I'm at G Palmer FFF, CJ is at CJ Hickman 89, and Jason is at Jason Cabrera 13. So with that, we are out of here. Any parting thoughts, guys?
Guys, please, patreon.com/Football Fanatics. We would love your money. We love it. I mean, we would so much appreciate it.
We just want to pay the electric bill.
Let's make it happen. I mean, look, anything, $1, $20, anything. Okay.
Wow.
Hey guys, be on the lookout. I'm going to be doing my my final mock draft.
Yeah, man.
And I will be posting that on Twitter when I'm done.
Good stuff.
There you go. All right, so we're out of here, guys. We will see you on Friday with a lot to talk about. Take care, everybody. Bye.